And that is our review for Elvis. What did you think of this Baz Luhrmann movie? Comment down below.
Yeah, absolutely.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Oh, God, I got to shit.
Don't push.
Push? What?
Don't push. That's how Elvis died. Don't
I'm not going to push.
Don't push.
You're pushing my buttons.
Let it ease out. That's how Elvis died.
Don't let a good thing die.
The greatest show on earth.
Hello, everybody, and welcome again to Keystone Film Review. We just saw Elvis, directed by Baz Luhrmann, and starring Tom Hanks, Austin Butler, Olivia DeJonge, Helen Thompson, Richard Roxburgh's in there, Kelvin Harrison Jr., David Wenham, Cody Smith-McPhee. Of course, this is a fancified, if you could say that. Dazzling display as Baz Luhrmann usually delivers. Biographic picture of Elvis's life. Yeah. And I think going in, I just kept thinking how this had a 12-minute standing ovation at Cannes Film Festival. Did it deserve it?
What?
Yeah. What did you think?
Did it actually?
It did. It had a The Cannes Film Festival is notorious for having ridiculously long standing ovations to the point where it's not even interesting. It's just dumb.
Sounds like they should film that and make a movie out of it. It's just like...
They do film it. They film it. You can watch the standing ovation online.
That's crazy.
But yes, 12-minute standing ovation for this, the longest of Cannes this year. And what did you think? Did it deserve a 12-minute standing ovation?
I don't know if it deserved all that. Maybe a 12-second standing ovation.
Keep in mind, the cast and crew were there, so it's not like where people clap now, where no one's there.
I mean, granted, if the editing team was there and they worked as hard as they seem to have done on this fucking movie, 100%, ovate your ass away.
Yeah.
Stand, if you will, as well. But goddamn. 12-minute standing ovation for this movie. I don't know if I quite deserve that. It was like I was on some speed or some type of ecstasy watching the first 20 minutes?
No, it was more than... It was at least 45 to an hour.
It was gratifying to my eyeballs to know that I might die soon.
So if you haven't seen the movie yet, we're not going to spoil anything, but it is some of the worst editing I've ever seen. Of course, editing is subjective, but I much prefer things to be drawn out. People make fun of that was that Taken 2 or Taken 3?
I think it's Taken 3.
Taken 3, where they have 9 cuts of Liam Neeson jumping over a gate. That is the entire first 45 minutes of this movie. Yeah. Just cut. No shot was longer than maybe 3, 4, maybe 1 5-second shot, and not that they need to be
literally
long,
a scene where he gets out of his car or his truck, like gets out, turns around to look at a window, and it was 4 to 5 shots for just that alone.
And jumpy cuts too. It's not smooth. It's laughable. It felt like the beginning felt like TikTok the movie, where it's just like so many cuts going on and not graceful at all. And
now maybe that was, part of their goal, try to draw in the younger generation of how so used to all the...
They didn't want another Ridley Scott
so they were like, all right, let's draw them in with all this information of like, everybody breathes 12 takes, okay? Go.
Yeah.
But yeah, the beginning of this was wild. And then it slowly delved back into like normal pace-age, kind of.
And then would have go back into the craziness and then back. It was just editing-wise, a sloppy movie in my opinion. And it's not like something Baz Luhrmann does where he cuts a lot. All his movies are usually pretty graceful, at least from my memory.
He at least transitions a lot, and that's where the editing comes in. Like, Great Gatsby is one of the ones that I enjoy Great Gatsby, but it has its flaws. Specifically, I think for me, the soundtrack and the editing and kind of how modernized it was, but it still takes place in the
Roaring
40s?
20s.
20s, that's it.
Yeah.
Damn.
1920s,
Yes.
not modern times.
Yeah, not the 1820s either. They didn't even
not
have
the
film
1820s.
back then. Anyway,
You can't make a movie if there was no film at that time.
but it was
Can't.
It was good movie to me. Very jumpy and very soundtracky.
Yeah.
That's Gatsby.
Oh.
This took tones from that a lot and hyper speeded it up to 10.
Yeah.
A lot as well. A little more calm towards the ending half, but
Yeah.
it was a wild ride to go across.
It's really the tale of two movies. Like I leaned to him when there's like maybe 30 minutes left. I was like, this feels like a completely different movie from the beginning. Of course,
This is when there was like 30 minutes left.
yeah. Of course, it will probably win an Oscar for editing, mainly because the people who vote, other than the editors, don't really know. Granted, the editors come up with the nominees, but like Bohemian Rhapsody won for editing, and editing in that is atrocious. So they seem to like atrocious editing in the Oscars. And but enough about the editing. I think that the idea to follow Colonel Tom, is it Tom Parker? Tom Hanks's character, the manager of him. I don't know if that was exactly the best choice. It kind of...
I think the best part of that aspect was that it was really great to see Tom Hanks's character come back from Colin Farrell's Penguin and just merge into two. Because he was really just a villain, and they really just...
What are you showing me?
What are you doing?
Holy God, what are you showing me? His head. Come on.
And they just...
Yeah.
They literally villainize... Well, rightfully so. Managers are usually pieces of shit.
Well, that was interesting. Like, it was supposed to be his side of the story, and he still came off as a massive tool. So, like... I don't know what they were trying to accomplish with that. It didn't really work in my mind. Like, yes, show that relationship, but not from his perspective.
They made his perspective feel like some sort of fairy tale, too. Like
They gave it the Baz Luhrmann effect.
Very weird. Tom Hanks was very distracting from that, point, too. I don't know. I feel like they could have gotten... Honestly, I would have rather had Colin Farrell just in the makeup suit, but play this character instead. To me, he was very distracting from the whole thing.
Yeah, get a Dutch actor that would actually have the accent.
Yeah, the accent.
Tom Hanks is a great actor, but his accent's not great in this. But
he just seems like campy. He was campy the whole time.
Yeah.
I don't know what campy emotions are, but I have a hard time with these like singing biopics usually because the biggest drive away from me on it is how fast artists just make songs, even though it definitely took longer than it did.
Well, I mean, he didn't write that many songs. He just he covered them.
But it was like, oh, we're gonna come up with a new song. We're gonna write a song. 12 hours later, I wrote the song, a whole orchestra and everything. Come on right by it.
I mean, have you seen Ben Folds do "Rock This Bitch"?
No.
Okay.
But, I mean, they did, like, the same thing they did in Bohemian Rhapsody, where it would definitely take a hot minute to write a song and make it and all that. They were like, all right, yes, oh, this is perfect. I'm turning into Jeff Goldblum real quick for some reason. And, oh, yeah, do this thing. And then, oh, perfect, there's a song. And it's in 5 minutes, and it always drives me nuts instead of, like, an orchestrated, like, long thing.
You should watch Ben Folds "Rock This Bitch."
Rock this bitch.
Yeah, it's if someone yells "Rock This Bitch" at a concert, he immediately makes up a song with a full orchestra. It's pretty cool. Like they're not like, super.
Improv?
Yeah, it's improv. Like the lyrics are very like meta and in the moment, but like I would agree for the most part. Otherwise, but like musicians can do things pretty quickly that are impressive. Maybe not as impressive as it is in this, but like still pretty cool. Austin Butler, I thought, did a really great job. I was
gonna say that for last. Well, you couldn't read my mind, so I didn't tell you.
I couldn't.
He was the best driving force of this whole movie because he just embodied either what you imagine Elvis would be like, or just he killed it with the accent and everything. I can only imagine how much of that he actually sang. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not familiar enough with Elvis's voice, I obviously know Elvis's voice, but I couldn't tell you the difference between an Elvis recording and an Elvis impersonator recording.
Yeah.
But he did a fantastic job to the point where like wider shots It's sometimes, especially if it had like an old film filter, looked like it might have been archive footage, but I also don't think it was because it was too clear to be archive footage.
I'm just wondering why he didn't become Fat Elvis.
He did at the very end. That might have been deep fake though.
Of him on the piano?
Yeah.
That was not him. That was
there were
Elvis.
shots of it. Well, no, they had actual Elvis, but there were shots where it was Austin's eyes. First name basis Austin.
Yeah.
But he did a fantastic job. He was definitely the driving force in the movie. Other than the editing and the crazy fast-paced movement of the beginning half, and Tom Hanks sometimes being distracting, not always, but sometimes. I really like this movie. It's just there are those few elements that I'm just like, this doesn't really deserve a 12-minute standing ovation.
Yeah, there was a lot of points where you were kind of learning a lot from how Elvis got his singing styles and song styles and all that, and you definitely learn about how much he took from other culture to create his whole career.
That's one thing I appreciated about it, is that it didn't shy away from the fact that he's maybe not stolen's the right word, but he took songs from black people and did his own recording.
Hugely influenced.
Very hugely influenced. But it didn't shy away from that. Like it was very upfront about that.
There was literally a scene where it was that the artist, I can't remember the name of the artist, the original artist who was making the song, young Elvis, basically copying and making a record, and then current Elvis. So it was all like side by side.
Like his first recording, I think it was like in the early 70s, him playing it, and then the person that he got it from. Yeah,
they didn't shy away from that, and I wish there was more like learning about some stuff. That's what I want to see mostly from these biopics and stuff like that, is like learning about the experiences instead of just like creepy old manager being creepy and him just singing and just a lot, just stuff like that. I like learning the backstory to a lot of stuff, but I don't enjoy going into a 2-hour concert and some story.
And you even mentioned that, like, the whole thing, at least in the trailer, is about how the Tom Hanks, Colonel Tom Parker, met Elvis. They never show them meeting. It just cuts to him approaching him, and then cuts to them on the road. Like, there's no discussion. There's a discussion later on, but it's after weeks, if not months, of them working together. And
they very well might not have ever like talked to each other before, but like they were like, "Oh, Mama, I'm gonna go on the road with Colonel, and we're gonna go." And then they were just on the road, separate cars, never looked at each other once, and then however many weeks down the road maybe that actually happened, but it was just weird going from like, oh, I've got my eyes on this boy, but I'm never going to approach him, to the fact that
got my eyes on this boy,
but I'm never going to approach him to show you that I've got interest in, we're going to drive the plot forward. He's just going to mention, Elvis is just going to mention that I'm going to go on the road with Colonel. It was random. But I enjoyed the movie for the most part, other than the editing that made me feel like I was on speed.
It was not good editing. Like, no. I think most people will be like, and even if you don't know, you'll be like, I don't like the way this feels. It's
my body feels weird. I think the biggest saving grace for this was straight up Austin Butler.
Yes.
And how well he just straight up like impersonated.
Nominate him now, essentially. Yeah. Like he did a fantastic job. It's a fine movie. It's definitely going to have its fans and also have its people who don't love it or they straight up hate it, but it's a solid movie overall. I think they went way too chaotic with the beginning. I know we've said it 1,000 times, but I cannot stress enough how crazy the beginning is.
Very chaotic.
It was hard to watch at times. Like, I had to look away because there's just so much flashing.
It was like a cat at 2 a.m. when everybody's asleep and just rummaging around the house at light speeds. It's just crazy.
And by proxy, I guess the sound editing was kind of the same in the beginning, where it's just like boom, 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 boom. Just it's overwhelming how much you're given. But then the musical sequences, it felt normal, but it was just like the talking sequences that were fast cutting. It was just all over the place.
That was another thing with some of the musical sequences. They mixed modern music. I don't know if I mentioned that or not already.
You started to, but then didn't.
A lot of Baz Luhrmann movies do that, where he just introduces the 1920s, where there's just random rap going on and hip hop and stuff. Like, where the fuck does that even belong?
Yeah.
But even in this, it had some of that too. That took me out of it a little bit.
I'm not a huge fan of that either. I like Moulin Rouge. That's pretty much the only movie of his that I like or love. And then this I liked, but that was definitely... You could tell that in this, it just felt like it was shoehorned in to show younger audiences what Elvis meant to that time that he was in. Where it's just like, oh, this was new, this was something powerful, and moved people to the point, like...
Especially, like, the one scene, he was in, like, an all-white neighborhood, and it just starts playing, like, a hip-hop part. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Where all these white people hate what this would be right now.
Yeah. It doesn't fit. I get what they were trying to do. Sure, people are going to call us old man. I mean,
it never hurts to try to modernize some stuff and, like, shoehorn it in.
Yeah, I don't think it worked in this.
Just, for, like, older movies, like in the 20s or in the 50s, it just doesn't fit.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah. But what would you rate this?
I want to give it a 3 because of Austin Butler, but everything else really surrounding it kind of drives it down to a 2.5. But 3 for the Austin Butler.
Yeah.
For him alone. And maybe even a 3.5 for that guy. But for the movie alone, 2.5 for me.
Yeah. I would be a little kinder on it just because I thought the ending was very strong. The last hour or so was very, very strong. But yeah, it's probably one of the only times I didn't care for Tom Hanks, and not just because his character was a piece of shit. It just wasn't a great performance in my opinion. Not that it was bad, it just wasn't good either. It was just distracting, which you never want a performance to really be.
It just was like a creepy uncle.
Yeah. I'd probably say, I want to say 3, just because that if it worked for the ending, I probably would say like a 2, but the ending really bumped it up for me. I thought once it kind of stopped distracting itself and the audience from flashing information at it and was focused, then it got a lot better, and I wish the whole movie was like that. But yeah. I would say a 3, mainly because of Austin Butler's performance. But yeah.
Yeah. What are your favorite Elvis songs?
Wise men say only fools rush in. I don't even know those are the words.
Who knows?
But I can't help falling in love with you.
My personal favorite